Hey folks, MasakoX here. Before we continue the story of Cooler becoming canonically good, it would mean the world to me if you could take a look at my refreshed Patreon at patreon.com/MasakoX, where there are two simple tiers. It would be great if you could take a look at the pinned comment below or a link up here. Anyway, let's get on to the Cooler story. The tournament grounds were bursting with chatter, even though there were just a handful of people there. Most of that chatter could be sourced to the twin destroyer gods, Beerus and Champa, who were bickering with each other, though slowly but surely, some other characters appeared. Universe 6, no doubt. There was a Metal Man. Cooler's father always considered them to be rather unruly and overly sensitive, thusly only a small number of them ever made it to their forces. There was also some sort of massive yellow bear creature. No doubt its massive size and enormous girth would have something to do with its fighting style. There was also a Saiyan. He seemed meeker and smaller than either of his two rivals, but the Emperor learned not to underestimate him just because of his stature. He appeared to be very cordial toward Vegeta in particular. Not so surprising, as he was the one that was more connected to his heritage than Son Goku. The boy surely had a different upbringing considering his attire. Still a warrior, but more in the line of peacekeeping. Yes, that must be it. That's what it was. The last two members of Champa's entourage were the two individuals that had attracted the most attention from Cooler. One of them was of his own kind. Interestingly, he was told by his father that their kin had originated long ago in their universe. Obviously, back then, the Emperor did not consider a hint of there being more than one, but was it possible that people other than his own clan survived? It was an odd feeling, as the only ones that he knew about were his closest family, his father, brother, and some brief mentions of a grandfather. The individual was in his first containment form, but just as Cooler and his relatives, he was surely hiding his true power. As he approached the Emperor, he extended his hand. "What a pleasant surprise. I didn't expect to see anyone of your stature over here, kind sir." He smiled wildly, offering a hand. "My name is Frost, and I am a peacekeeper and quasi-ruler of Universe 6's largest nation. Nice to meet you." His voice seemed rather polite enough, but Cooler wasn't going to allow this to make him keep his guard down. "Cooler, Emperor of Universe 7, he said laconically, though he accepted the handshake. "Oh, so from Emperor to Emperor. How quaint. I see that you must have good control over your birth form then. It is something that I still admittedly struggle with sometimes. I can be a lot, but what can you do when you have to defend the weak and the poor, Frost then crossed his arms, smiling, as in, "What do you think of that?" "This," said the ruler of Universe 7, "this isn't even my final form. I hope you will stay in the ring long enough to witness it, my friend. I am curious to see what you can do as well." Cooler also smiled, but his eyes remained ice cold. There was something he didn't really like about this individual. A lot of misdirections were going on here and attempts at camaraderie, though hearing more about transformations visibly surprised him. Still, the last member of the team, in Cooler's eyes surely the most powerful one, was watching him very intently. The Emperor knew this type, though admittedly, he never witnessed someone of this profession that high up on the power scale, but the way that he was behaving betrayed his position as Universe 6's ace. As he ended his formalities with his equivalent, he walked toward Piccolo and whispered something close to him so that no one else could hear. "Watch out for the tall one. I believe he is an assassin." The Namekian raised his eyebrows, vaguely looking in Hit's direction. "I believe that the rules are against killing. I'm sure they are, but he is going to be a problem. My kinsman as well strikes me as, shady." Cooler was watching Frost making his introduction to Goku. "What, because he's nice and friendly?" "Figures, you don't like nice and friendly." Piccolo smirked quietly, crossing his own arms. "No, because he's researching us, the same way I do with them. The Metal Man, he's durable. The bear thing will be relying on the stomach, I guarantee you. The Saiyan is inexperienced in terms of actual battle, but he wouldn't be here if he wasn't showing some kind of potential." Cooler pointed towards Kaba. "And you got that all by just watching them for a few seconds. Interesting. The Namekian turned his head toward them, being both slightly surprised and genuinely impressed. What? You weren't able to? Cooler walked off and stood next to Whis after hearing that. So what now? The quicker we go, the faster I can resume my duties. I know that Son Goku is trying to make friends here, but... Oh, first you will have to do a written exam, didn't you know? The angel giggled, Cooler blinking twice, losing his thought for a second. I'm sorry, what? A written exam. They wish to see your knowledge about the world around you and assess whether or not you're worthy of competition. And Lord Beerus agreed, knowing we had Son Goku on the team. The Emperor was trying to keep his fluster under wraps, but it was very much failing, while the Saiyan waved back at him, hearing his name said out loud. This man is a wazing warrior, but he is like a space toothbrush. We may lose him before the exam even starts. What a ridiculous idea. If I knew, I would send some educators his way to spoon him up a little bit. Oh, relax, Cooler. You only need about 50% to pass. I'm sure Goku's smarter than you give him credit for. He has seen a lot, you know. He has to know something, right? Whis was trying to be the Saiyan's advocate here, but the Emperor just gritted his teeth and said, "We will see," under his breath. And sure enough, they were called to partake in the exam. Something that Cooler hadn't done since his early childhood, when he was being educated by Kikuno and Berry Blue. Sure enough, the questions were easy enough and very basic, in some ways offending his very intelligence. It was only now that he had noticed the final member of their own team. It was a short Wagashian who looked to be quite surprised to even be frequenting around all of these different peoples. Cooler didn't really pay much attention to him though, taking him for a member of the tournament staff. Was that the secret weapon of Beerus that he talked about? But where would he have kept him? It's not like they had a considerable lifespan or anything, and if someone of this supposed amazing power were to ever emerge in his time and day, well, Cooler would have very much heard about them and either attempted to recruit them or kill them. There was something fishy about this. What wasn't fishy, though, was Son Goku's results. He barely passed, much like the rest of the team, fortunately. As they were slowly preparing, Cooler noticed that the Saiyan punched the Wagashian right in the face, most likely trying to see where his power was, and the effect was, well, it left the Wagashian in tears. If he'd used just a little bit more of his power, he probably would have ended the life of the guy and they would have been one person down. Oh, God. Oh, the Emperor just was like, rushing towards Whis and taking him aside. That guy, what is his name? His frustration returned. What are you two scheming? Monaka. His name is Monaka. He just didn't expect Goku's attack, that's all. Nothing to worry about. He is a decoy. Why would we need a decoy? He's completely useless, am I right? Am I right? Well, all right. The truth is, yes, but do not tell the Saiyans. Why? Cooler gasped his own head with his palms. Why are we starting with a disadvantage? Well, Lord Beerus wanted to show the two of them, especially Goku, that there will always be people stronger or close in strength to them, just so they will not grow overconfident. But what about me? I am there to keep them in check. That is my job. Why do you need another person? The Emperor was thinking that this was kind of a sick joke, that everyone except him was on. This couldn't be happening. Oh yes, we invited Monaka before we even knew that you were around and whether you would agree. It would be rude to then say no to him after all of this, you know. You could have had Son Gohan on our team, or Majin Buu, Cooler said, an unusually angered voice for him. Relax. If you four are as strong as I think you are, I don't think you'll feel the difference. The assassin is worrying me, Whis. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Ooh, Hit? I heard that he's very powerful, the best that Universe 6 has to offer, and that he has some reputation outside of his own home turf. Trans-dimensional traveler. Wonderful. Cooler was done with the angel. He only muttered to himself, we could have had Majin Buu, under his breath, shaking his head in shocked disbelief. Whis just giggling silently. The fights were rather predictable, or at least the beginning was, as the Emperor clearly understood Butamo's shtick, and Son Goku did so well very early. Also, they were informed that there had been one special rule, with each team being allowed to switch their member one time during the tournament. Originally, it was supposed to be a set, but this could increase the amount of people actually taking part in the fights if anything became too one-sided. Cooler recognized Whis doing this. The Angel was very sure about their advantage, or he really wanted to impress the other one, his sister, Vados. Guess the multiverse has been built on sibling rivalries since the very beginning then. But alas, the Saiyan was, unsurprisingly, victorious. Considering that he was the first to fight, Cooler really hoped that he would just not sweep the entire thing, leaving nothing for them to do. Otherwise, his very presence over here would have been simply a waste of time. And obviously, in typical Son Goku fashion, he was testing out the opponent and then working up to it, allowing his second challenger, Frost, to go through all of his transformations. They were, in Cooler's mind, unrefined, which meant he rarely ever used them, which might have actually been a good sign. All things considered, it was clear that Son Goku was going to be the winner here, up to a point, when he then got knocked out of his Super Saiyan form. What? Obviously, everyone was furious and shocked at this for not pushing further, but not Cooler. The Saiyan would never have misjudged the opponent's strength like this. Something felt very off here. There was something weird, but the Emperor had to do a little bit more observation before he could be absolutely sure. "Are you willing to take one for the team?" he said to Piccolo. "Bring him up close. I want to watch something." "What? You expect me to throw myself like a sacrificial lamb or something? I'm not gonna disrespect this guy after what he did to Goku." The Namekian shook his head, absolutely sickened by what he saw from Frost. "I believe that something is unusual. I will be watching, and you should too," he said to Vegeta. He appreciated that the prince wasn't making any remarks, perhaps not wanting to test their new earned respect by saying some juicy insults about Frost. They might have hit a little bit too close to home. And during the duel between the Namekian and the Emperor of Universe 6, it became obvious that Piccolo was the more seasoned fighter. Sure, Frost was talented, yes, but he lacked... What was that? Just like with Son Goku, the green demon fighter was experiencing some sort of dizziness. Sneaky little bastard. That's how he was doing this. While Vegeta was eager to fight, Cooler looked at him calmly. "I gave you Frieza, this one is mine. We can swap later if you want." "Fine." The prince crossed his arms on his chest. "I presume we have a similar theory. Hopefully. Or I will lose some faith in your legendary strategic mind, Prince." As Cooler approached Frost, both were still in their birth forms. The Universe 6 fighter extended his hand to greet him again, even though the fight had actually started. "A good shake of hand of two emperors. What would you say, Cooler?" The ruler of Universe 7 did not appreciate that, and he immediately transformed into his fifth form, spooking Frost immensely, who had never seen anything like that. What is this?" Before he could finish his sentence, Cooler grabbed him by the wrist and crushed the bracer of his bio-armor, revealing needle-like weapons that had fallen off. The audience gasped. "Care to explain?" he said with his voice deepened by his face mask. Look, from kin to kin, this was just a little prank, nothing else." "Referee, does that look like a weapon to you? Check it out. It might be poisoned." As both Jakku, the Galactic Patrolman, and the referee examined the needles, the verdict was clear. "It is against the rules. Frost was cheating. Therefore, he is disqualified, and both Piccolo and Son Goku are allowed back into the ring." This had caused an outrage from Champa, who became really furious about this. Not anything to do with the cheating, obviously, but the fact that Frost allowed himself to get caught like this. "I want to make a formal request. Allow him to finish the fight." He pointed at Frost, still dangling, being held by the wrist and seeing more and more panic in his face than ever before. Cooler then turned his red glowing eyes toward his kin. "And now I will teach you why cheating never prospers." You wouldn't. We are so alike. We can work together. Split the prize." "This is my prize." And Cooler began to toss him around, brutalizing Frost. He made sure to present himself as this giant and tough juggernaut. His opponent attempted to fight back, but he could hardly do anything. The Emperor of Universe 6 just kept wailing on him, grabbing him by the tail, smashing him around as he was some sort of plaything. After a good long while of taking these beatings, Frost just gave up, fleeing the scene. "Get that maniac away from me!" he squealed, all beaten up and hurt. At least he was quite durable, Cooler would give him that. Then Cooler looked at Hit, who'd seen the entire thing. Good. He'd hoped to make a certain impression. After this fight, he switched with Vegeta, to allow him to have his time against Alta Magetta, the Metal Man, and Kaba the Saiyan. The initial fight was nothing special, as the prince had to find the creature's weak spot on his own, by throwing a bunch of insults at it. Hardly a great challenge. The next fight, though, seemed to be more of a training session, trying to suss out what Kaba could actually do. It turned out the young Kaba didn't know how to become a Super Saiyan. Cooler could recognize how the prince had grown soft on the boy, and steered him toward the transformation, giving him plenty of clues, allowing his rage to build within. The Emperor did not take this against the prince, after all, not so long ago. He tried similar tactics with Son Gohan, and the fight was rather safe. This one was not cheating. It was interesting that the peaceful Saiyans hadn't managed to unlock the transformation. Well, that meant his family could have taken part of the credit for allowing this to, well, happen in their own universe. Something to consider right there. And while Kaba had lost, it was clear that he appreciated Vegeta's newfound guidance. Well, it seemed that the prince had also gained a layer or two of his own. Let him have it, thought Cooler. After all, the next encounter would be the main reason why they were here. And noticing how quickly Champa had regained his sass, this was meant to be the main course. He had warned Vegeta beforehand about the assassin. He knew there was something very extraordinary about him. The question was, though, if Vegeta was prepared for this. Well, the answer was short and shocking. No. Even in Super Saiyan Blue, he wasn't able to, pardon the pun, land a single hit. The fighter of Universe 6 was able to dodge just about everything, while appearing to barely move. This made Son Goku, Piccolo, and Cooler realize that he was using some sort of time-stopping technique. Vegeta, though, was not giving up, even though Hit was clearly the winner. The rule set, though, did not allow him to kill, so the prince attempted to stand up a couple more times. Finally, after some convincing from his team, he agreed to let Cooler go in. "I am going to take some punches, so watch closely," the Emperor said to Goku. "Good luck. He's going to be tough," the Saiyan nodded, acknowledging what Cooler was up to. Cooler saying, "So am I," not turning his head back. And for the first time, the hunter and the hunted were about to face each other in the ring. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.